Hello and welcome everyone again into another video, and today's video is about top teams in Open Great League. The problem with this cup is that it has been the same ever since they nerfed Walrein and they buffed Noctowl and Lantern, and Niantic still refused to make any changes to the Go Battle League. That every time I make a video about Open Great League, most of the comments be like, oh, Yasser just re-uploaded the same video, when it's actually not the same video. That's why today we have a new introduction. I mean, different introduction, so people can notice that it's not the same video. It's actually different video, but it's kind of still the same meta, you know? Okay, you know what? Let's just go ahead and talk about the top teams in the Open Great League Season 14. And so, as always, I divide every cup into three different categories: good leads, safe swaps, and closers. Good lead, again, are Pokemon that have enough good fast move pressure plus a baiting move, or they just have a very oppressing fast move like Questidon or like Altaria, and then safe swaps. Safe swaps, as I always talk about this, it's like these are like the different type of teams I do try always to build, which like I'm a fan of balanced teams because I do lots of coaching, and most of the people that I do coach are like in the 2500 elo mmr, and those type of players are like the majority of the PvPers, and they always struggle to build a team because they always try to copy ABB teams, which aren't that easy to play unless like the one who made the team tells you what exactly to do. With ABC teams, it's much easier to play. It falls off like the higher you go on the leaderboard, because the more you go up, the more you want your team to not be predictable, so that people can't predict your third Pokemon. Due to the fact that if they know your team, that's kind of a disadvantage for you, an advantage for them. So it's like this: lower MMR, it's ABC; high MMR, it's ABB; highest MMR is ABA. So that's kind of like the difference between the teams that I do provide for everyone here, which most likely don't work at high MMR, because at high MMR you don't want your opponent to predict your team, because you want any advantage that you can get, and you want to prevent your opponent from getting any advantage that they could get. So safe swaps are like good for people who always try to climb to hit legend, to hit expert, to hit a new milestone. So those Pokemons are generally the Pokemons that are like user friendly as long as you get used to them. Okay, I mean, everything is user friendly as long as you get used to them. No, they are actually good to use because like they are easier to use in a team in a blind format, let's say it that way, where you just focus on winning the matchup match by match. Like this is winning the lead, and you focus on winning a swap, and you focus on winning the game. It doesn't work at high MMR, but this is like how it works for like the average MMR for everyone. So again, safe swap is a Pokemon that has a neutral play against everything. You can beat some stuff very hard due to typing. Also, with energy lead, you can beat your own counters, and like the main example here is Umbreon. Like you could beat Medicham if you are like one snarl ahead. Lickitung can beat Medicham if you are one lick ahead. Sableye can beat A9 in the zero if they have like a hatched IV, as long as it's hatched IV, right? Noctowl can beat Swampert if they have water gun, stuff like that, you know, where you rely on the surprising factor. Closets are Pokemon that usually shine with no shields. What does that mean? You want to get to a point where like your opponent doesn't have shields and you just nuke, okay? So you don't have to rely on landing a bait or like them shielding your bait and you landing your nuke. So you don't want to rely on that, and then at that point, no shields, you just go straight nukes. And the main example about that, it's literally G-Fisk, Swampert, Azumarill, and Registeel. So let's talk about the good leads. As I said, good fast move pressure and baiting move. Walrein is a decent example about that, and Pelipper is one of the best examples about like a good lead. You could argue that Pelipper can be a good swap, but yeah, I prefer it in the lead because I don't like it in the swap, because if you swap it and they have a Lantern, it's a GG. Deoxys Defense is a huge example for that, because Deoxys Defense would rather have the lead spot so you can Psycho Boost and dip, so you don't have to do some debuffed fast move or charge move damage. Venusaur is another example. Maybe you don't have as strong of fast move pressure as like the other Pokemons, but hey, it has Frenzy Plant, and technically and only flyers can tank 2 Frenzy Plants, okay? Everything else has to respect the second one. And when it's a neutral, and have to respect every Frenzy Plant if it's super effective, because that move is just the best charge move now in Great League. Toxapex, I would say Toxapex is more of a safe swap. The problem is that Toxapex get RPS'd by Steel pretty hard, so that's why it's not a safe swap. Now moving to the safe swaps. Best safe swap is Umbreon. Some people might say best safe swap is Noctowl, but you know, like what someone said, there is no safe swap in the current meta, so technically that's why he say pivot sometimes, because technically there is no safe swap. So the fact that the term safe swap doesn't exist in the current meta. So what I'm saying here, best safe swap is Umbreon, best pivot is Noctowl. What's the difference? I just said it. Focus, chat, focus, okay? Lantern is not a safe swap, but it's a decent counter swap. Like if they swap a flyer, you go Lantern, you win. What if the flyer is Altaria? Well, I think you can win the 0, or like you win one of the shields. I'm not sure which one it is. It's not on the top of my head, but there's a decent play as long as you don't have water gun. Now, why do I have Medicham in the safe swap? Well, I don't know. I mean, technically, we agreed that there is no safe swap in the current meta. So technically, lots of people use Medicham to bait out the Trevenant if they have a Lantern in the back. And this is one of the most common teams. If they safe swap Medi, that means they have Lantern in the back. Because they want to bait out the Trevenant. What's the Trevenant in this meta? Yo, what is a Trevenant? It's an anti-meta? Yeah, very funny answer. It's so funny. Okay, let's have Trevenant here. Let's have this here. Venusaur here. Okay, Trevenant, you'll be here for now. As a decent lead. I like Trevenant. I am one of the biggest Trevenant fans. I'm the biggest Sableye fan though. Lickitung used to be the best safe swap in the meta, and then like Noctowl get a buff, then Noctowl became everywhere, so you can't rely on running Lickitung unless your plan is to bait out the Noctowl, then Lickitung can do a pretty good job there. Closer, as I said, a Pokemon that can nuke everything. And Diggersby is one of those, but Diggersby is not the best, okay? I think the best one of those is Registeel, because Registeel is the only Pokemon that's known for beating its own counters in the Zero Shield. Like, Registeel can beat Medicham in the Zero if you are like 2 lock-ons ahead. G-Fisk needs like 3 mud shots to do that. Like, Azu can still hang out with the grass if you are 1 bubble ahead. I think 1 bubble and 1 turn, to be more specific. Bastiodon, well, it doesn't do it like that, but, you know, I don't like Bastiodon. I don't respect Bastiodon. It's just like I have it there because I have to mention it somewhere. That's pretty much most of the meta Pokemons, but are they everything we can use? No, you can actually use some decent stuff like Gliscor. Someone like Pokemango hit, I think, number 3 or 4 or 4 or 2 leaderboard using Gliscor. And Gliscor is one of the neutral Pokemons in the current meta that has a play against most of the stuff. Like, does it have a good play against Lantern? Yes, if Lantern has a Spark, it has some decent play, because you beat Registeel, which pretty much everyone used at high MMR, so that's where like people started running Gliscor. Another Pokemon I need to mention here is Coffin. Coffin is also a decent Pokemon. I think those are pretty much the best two. But there is a Pokemon I need to mention and I haven't mentioned so far, which is Shadow Alolan Ninetale. This is Shadow Kanto Ninetale, but sorry, I couldn't find a picture about Shadow Alolan Ninetale. Shadow Alolan Ninetale is one of the strongest shadows that has been added to the game. Why? The Pokemon is just too strong. Like, now you have a decent play against something like G-Fisk, you know? Like, if you are on energy lead, you land the first spot Wither Ball, and if you land the second one, you can pretty much the shield farm down at that point. You need energy lead. If you have energy lead, you have a play against something like G-Fisk. Frostlass is a Pokemon that people has been using as, like, you know, a neutral Pokemon that doesn't lose pretty hard. It doesn't also beat stuff pretty hard, but it's good at baiting out the Lantern. It's good at baiting out stuff like Registeel. Dusclops is a Pokemon that is supposed to beat most of the stuff in the current meta, like, because it has, you know, Rock Slide and Drill Run, so it's supposed to beat Lantern and Noctowl, but to be fair, it doesn't do that. Why? Because it lacks the stab damage, so it doesn't do enough damage to KO. They always live by 1 HP. Like, as an example, Lantern beats Dusclops in the 0 if Lantern has is a decent IV. I think it's as long as it's like top 15 PvP IV for Great League. Pretty much that's all, like the main anti-meta Pokemons. What about spicy stuff? There is only one Pokemon I need to talk about: Shadow Grimer, Shadow Alolan Grimer, and Shadow Mach. They have a decent play now, okay? Well, here something to talk about Shadow Alolan Grimer. It's same stats as Shadow Skunk, okay? So don't make the mistake of making a Shadow Grimer, Alolan Grimer, because it's literally same stats as Shadow Skunk, okay? Same stats. Another Pokemon to talk about. Some people used Pidgeot like Yonkus, and I think they honestly also made a video about the same team with like Swampert with Pidgeot. We will be talking about the team. You know what? Let's just... Now we talked about Pokemons. Let's talk about the top teams, okay? I know some people, like, I always have this meme, but it makes sense, okay? Let's talk about the top teams. That's why you guys are here. You want a top team to spam and clap all the people that run some stupid stuff in your elo. The top three Pokemons on PvPoke are Medi, Double Steel, okay? Medi, Registeel, Bastion. What's the good thing about this team? They are the top 3 on PvPoke. Okay? What's the point? They are the top 3 on PvPoke, okay? This team struggles against Trevenant. Trevenant is not the best Pokemon you run, so that's why people would rather run Pelipper instead of Medi here, just for the fact that some people might have Trevenant, and Trevenant is annoying for any Steel Pokemon, because for Registeel to beat it, you need a Flash Cannon. For Bastiodon to beat it, you need the Trevenant to be on 0 energy, because Trevenant to up energy can beat Bastiodon, as long as they land the Shadow Ball. So that's why some Bastiodon players do shield. Top PvPoke, 3 PvPoke. Top 3 PvPoke. What's wrong with you, Yasser? Okay, so this is the top team. Oh, sorry, I get distracted. So this is the top 3 on PvPoke team. And the top team, or the most used team in the current meta, which is the reason why people now don't enjoy Open Great League anymore as they used to anymore, is this team, as you guys see here. So you can be one of those people who spam this team and get some decent MMR, because this team is just stupidly strong, okay? The only thing that beats this team is if they have Trevenant on something that's not Noctowl. It's pretty hard to come back from, because Trevenant always have 2 Noctowl answers. So if you have Noctowl, if you have Trevenant on Medi or Lantern, it's pretty much a win for the Trevenant team. If you have Trevenant on Noctowl, pretty much it's a win for the Noctowl team, because Noctowl always have 2 stuff that beats what covers the Trevenant, and Trevenant always have 2 stuff that beats Noctowl. So it's like, who's gonna RPS the other? Sorry. Another team that was like pretty popular. I call it Walwood 2.0. Why Walwood 2.0? Because so the person who made it came from Walwood's community, so he's kind of, you know, like the new Walwood. I mean, it's like, I mean it like in a more of like a compliment way, because Stop Alcatraz, he's one of the best players in the world, and he was the first one to start playing Shadow Dragonair in the Open Great League. Why Shadow Dragonair? Because it's a neutral Pokemon that doesn't get RPS'd by most of the stuff that exists in the current meta. As an example, Dragonair can beat Registeel in the 2. If Dragonair gets like some slight energy lead, you can beat Noctowl. You need the Shadow for the Noctowl matchup. If you land the Body Slam, you can pretty much farm down at that point. So you can win the one. You also beat Medi as long as you play it correctly and you prevent them from getting a counter in. The rest is just you rely on Medi Bastion getting like a favorable matchup. So we talked about the toxic teams. What about the decent teams that I do play and everyone asks to see? So I play 2 different teams, to be honest. G-Fisk, Sableye, Pelipper. And if you want to watch this video, you can go to YouTube and type the top rated team on PvPoke, my team, Pokemon Go PvP. I used this team on my stream for a couple days, and it became one of the most used teams. So you're welcome, guys. Some haters might say, oh, it's just a 3 meta Pokemons. I know, it's a 3 meta Pokemons. I don't run Spice. But the fact that it was, it was like popular for a while, like I deserve some credit, let's be honest. So the main thing on this team is that you don't safe swap Sableye, but sometimes you have to safe swap Pelipper. But also you need to be aware which swap do you want to swap. So for this team, this slide and then the next one, make sure to go and watch the video, because I explain how to play most of the matchups and how to play every matchup. So this is the team number 1. And team number 2, which is Stunfisk Double Ghost. It's like the concept exists everywhere ever since like we started with the Azure Double Ghost by Thomas, aka Tactical. Same concept. G-Fisk Double Ghost. G-Fisk is there to beat the Flyers. Sableye is there to bait out the Flyers. And Trevenant is there to clean the mess after those two. So this is the best Open Great League team. And there is some matchups where you safe swap Trevenant. There is some matchups where you safe swap Sableye. So that's why I do recommend going back and watching the video. It's called the best. This is the best Open Great League team. Back then it was the best. Now it's just you need to play a team that you're very comfortable with. So it's better than playing a team that is good but you're not comfortable with. Okay, let me say it that way. Another solid team that I do recommend for people if they enjoy Venusaur is like the FP. I called FP is great again, which is like a team that was popularized by FP Sticks, I think back in season 4 or season 5. G-Fisk, Pelipper, Venusaur. What's the thing about this team? It's kind of weak to Trevenant, but it has a decent play. Like G-Fisk, 2 Rock Slides, almost KO. Trevenant, and the G-Fisk Trevenant matchup is basically if G-Fisk shield the Shadow Ball, G-Fisk win. If Trevenant land the Shadow Ball, Trevenant wins. Pelipper can beat Trevenant. Venusaur is fine, but it's Trevenant favorable. A solid team that was popularized by Icepan until his parents unplugged the router and he's no longer popular. Medi double normal. Or DD double normal. It's very creative depending on how he feels. If he feels like very energetic, he would run Medi, Licky, Noctowl. If he feels like he wants to climb, he run DD, Licky, Noctowl. I do recommend replacing the Licky with G-Fisk in the current meta. Why? Because I do recommend that. That's why, okay? The team is low-key weak to G-Fisk, DD, sorry, but no one used DD. It's only me and Icepan, the only 2 players in the world that still run Deoxys defense. But according to Go Battle Log, which is an amazing tool, I do recommend everyone to get. It's kind of a premium membership, so I will be leaving my link, which you could use and get, I think, $50 off or $1. I am not sure. I need to go back and check. So if you go and use their website, they will show you like the most used teams around every elo. I think I should make a video about Go Battle Log, because I do work with them and I do use their website a lot, like on daily basis. So the team that was the most popular team according to Go Battle Log around the elo I was on is basically Lantern Double Flyer, and one of the flyers is not Pidgeot, it was Altaria with a Trevenant. Why Altaria? Because Altaria can pretty RPS the Trevenant pretty hard, because the Dragon Breath does lots of damage. And the other team that Yonkas made a video about, and Zionic also made a video about, that was mentioned by PvPoke himself, is Swampert Double Normal. How this team is good, I have no idea, but the people who used this team, they said like this team is pretty good. Why? Because Swampert is a Pokemon that people don't respect as much. So if Swampert gets a good lead, you're just gonna win the game. Just as easy as that. Okay. If you are into Dragonite, I recommend this team, Dragonite Double Steel. I have a video about this team by Senix. I think the title of this video is Senix reached 3300 MMR with this Great League team, and it wasn't even close to end of the season. So when he hit 3300, that was like page 1 leaderboard back then. So we talked about those old meta teams. Let me mention this team. This team deserves a huge mention. Why? Because it's using Chestnut as the Pokemon that destroy all non-flyers Pokemons. Why? It destroys Lantern. It's not bad against Medi. It destroys G-Fisk and Registeel. And it's not bad against Sableye. Yeah, Chestnut isn't bad. Chestnut is good. So you use this thing to bait out... Bait out what? How do you beat Trevenant? Well, you just hope that people don't run Trev. If you see Trev, you use this one. Like this one, like this. Frostlass, Charizard, and Chestnut. Or this. I think this was like the main team. Chestnut in the lead with Frostlass to bait out the Lantern. This is literally the main use for the Frostlass. Bait out the Lantern. I think it's Axon used this team and he hit number 1 on leaderboard or number 2. I'm not sure. But yeah, this is pretty much the team that was it's Axon used to use. Very like cracked battler basically. He's so good. Pranav's team is still decent. Why do I think still decent? Because every time he used it off stream, he hit top 10 leaderboard. Yeah, you can check his live stream at twitch.tv/III Pranav III. Team is, I wouldn't say decent, but he knows how to play this team. He knows how to play this team without making any mistake. The triple counter team by Walwar is still decent. You can still use it. I still think that you need double wall instead of Vigoroth because double is much better. How do you get a double? Ask Niantic. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much to Go Battle Log for helping me, giving me access to your amazing tools. Similar special thank to also PvPoke with the amazing website, and YTX for helping me with some stuff on the video. And yeah, this is the end of the video. Thank you so much everyone for watching. If you like the video, make sure to leave a like, hit the channel, make sure to subscribe, and see you in the next video. Peace.